with our Wednesday night usual live stream. How you doing out there? It's pre-Derby festival time here in Louisville. Oaks is Friday, and the big Derby race is Saturday. I know a lot of you guys in the vinyl community are heading to Austin, Texas tomorrow morning.
Novus Nick says hello, Frank.
How you doing, Novus Nick? Are you going to Austin with Mazzy and Wax and PB and the whole crew? I looked it up once. I was going to go about 5 years ago. I thought, man, I need to go to Austin, Texas record show one time. And I looked up what the driving would be, and it was like 16 hours. And I said, no, that's okay. It's closer to go to Florida when my dad was alive to see him than it was to go to Austin, Texas to go to the record show. But if you guys all have a good time, I'm sure there'll be holy grails there.
He says, no, I'll be at work.
Like the Led Zeppelin turquoise that Jason Rojas always likes to show. So on my autographs from last time, I couldn't find the Jimmy Page autograph, and I got it here. So this was in a scrapbook I bought. They didn't even know that this page was worth money. You got the promo photo of the Yardbirds with Jimmy Page and Jim McCarty and Jeff Beck and Keith Reff and Chris Deja. So there was a press conference in LA in September 7th, 1966 at the Troubadour, and Jeff Beck didn't show up, the shorter man there. So Jimmy Page was playing lead guitar at the time, and they had a press conference, and they had these 4 autographs for the members that were there. Jim McCarty, a real nice Jimmy Page with every letter in his signature. Real rare to get it like that. Once Led Zeppelin became famous, he never signed his name like that again. And on the back, you got Chris Deja, and he took the photo on the Led Zeppelin back. He gets credit for having Chris Deja did the back photo of Led Zeppelin 1.
Elvis Cup guy says, hello, Mr. Stickomania.
All right, how you doing, Elvis Cup guy? No Elvis today, I'm sorry. And this is the first press of Led Zeppelin 1, A1, B1. The 8 is not scratched out. Excellent condition. PB Thal might not think this is the favorite way to listen to Led Zeppelin 1, but I like it. And then I forgot the lead singer. I had his autograph too, Keith Ralph. He hasn't been with us for a long time. So that's pretty amazing that they didn't even realize when they sold that scrapbook that page was important. All right, put the scrapbook away. That catches me up in my autograph section from last time. I'll put the Holy Grail away. This is up on my Stickermania 2853 store for $3,999. Butcher covers.
KRWD, hi Frank and Son.
KWRD.
KRWD.
KRWD. So I think you were on Rachel's Ghosts. You were on some stream yesterday or earlier today, and you were giving a lot. You were in the chat for a lot of times. Maybe it was at Joe Mayo. I think it was Joe Mayo this morning. Me and Mr. Mayo. So about halfway through at 11:30, I'm going to open up this shipping box. It's supposed to include a factory sealed 1966 mono second state butcher cover, one that's covered over. This is a first state here, but this is a second state that's been factory sealed since 1966, 58 years. A West Coast number 6.
He said, yeah, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, you were giving, Danny and you were going at it a little bit. Joe was just trying to keep calm. He's being the mediator, I think. I'll show my butchers here, and then we'll get on to other things, and then we'll open up that Holy Grail in the middle. That's my first state butcher cover. Interested buyer sent me questions yesterday, wanting to know if it was a real deal. He wanted a clear picture of the spine and the opening edge. I told him it had a COA from Perry Cox, the premier Beatles expert in the world for the last 40 years.
KRWD says, yeah, Danny really gets on Joe's nerves sometimes.
Yeah, hey, we're going at it today.
And then Whoopie Baby says, hi, Frank. Hi,
How you doing, Whoopie Baby? Got some views out of that Mr. Sticker Mania video? I hope so. I tried to help out. But Rachel's Ghost popped in on me and Mr. Mayo's channel for a while today before she went on her own. Rachel's Ghost, we're going to do another interview with her probably in 2 weeks on a Wednesday before Abbey Road on the River. It's going to be here in Louisville, May 23rd to May 27th. Labor Day weekend, isn't that right? Labor Day weekend. All right, so you saw the first state butcher cover. That means it was never covered over with the trunk slick. There's only about 100 in the world that are still in this condition. And if you put a piece of wet tissue on there, it wouldn't stick because there wouldn't be any glue residue, where there's glue residue on all the butcher covers I peel. But it's so expensive, I don't think I would put a piece of wet tissue on it.
KOWD says, hyper rare album there.
Yep, hyper rare. That's more than a Holy Grail, I'd say. This is the West Coast with a natural tint. It was a cutout, has a drill hole. That means it was a cutout and sold for $1, and nobody even realized there was a butcher cover underneath there. That's the West Coast. So this one I'm opening up is going to be a sealed one like this, only it's going to have the trunk slick over it.
Whoopie Baby says, my Let It Be box got here. Think I'll try an unboxing video tomorrow.
All right, sounds great. You're going to love that Let It Be box set. I've had 10 of them in my lifetime, and I've only had 2 that have been in that shape. One of them was in the factory shrink that I got from the, what was the comedian I bought from California? Not coming up with his name, but I sold it for $1,700 overseas. So you got a pretty good deal at $700. It's a nice one. Hope you're happy with it. This is the last East Coast butcher cover I peeled a few days ago. Came out really nice. If you watch my steam peeling part 1 and part 2, you can see me in fast forward peeling that butcher cover. I think the videos last about 23 minutes total, but in actual time it took me to do that was about two and a half hours. And let's let this all the rumors about a Jacksonville number 4, I proved this week, because it looked like there was a V right here. There is nothing, no butcher covers, second states ever escaped from Jacksonville, Illinois. They were all destroyed. There was only a few first states that snuck out the back door. But all of them were destroyed. I peeled that off. That's the trunk slick I peeled off. And you can see the paper layer on there. And there's no butcher cover underneath. Number 4, So if you ever see a number 4 second state butcher cover for sale on the internet, don't believe it's real.
Wolfie Baby says, I know I will be. I jumped on it. It looked great.
All right, thanks.
And then Richard Sabinski. I'm sorry, I say that wrong. Hi, Frank.
All right, how you doing? You're a newbie, Richard. We got Caesar or Daniel Costello watching today. Oh, Daniel Costello, apology. He did not give me my negative feedback on eBay. I searched it out after the live stream, and I'm sorry that I said that you did that. But the other person may have done it that I said. But he said he did it by mistake, and he's trying to get it revised. All right, butcher covers right here.
Don't forget to give us a like, please. Hopefully you like what you see.
Yeah, we've got a lot of new views in the last 30 days because of this peeling the butcher cover, and I've been showing a lot of Holy Grails, and I've really increased my viewership, but we still only have 30, almost a little over a third of you are subscribed that are watching my videos. So, but I did get a lot this week. I think I'm up to 1453. I thought the last count I saw.
57 maybe, but I'll check. Paul George. Hi, Frank.
Paul George. How you doing, Paul George from New Jersey, if I got that correct?
Yep, that's what he says. He's saying from New Jersey.
Got a couple things in from Paul today. Show them since he give him a shout out. He calls me and
all right, 43 is where we're at.
Yeah, 1543, right?
Yeah, you're right. I thought it was high. I looked at it earlier, but I looked
1453. Yeah, we'll get to 1500 here pretty quick. So I bought this from Paul George, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is original. Let It Be promo dialogue. How you know it's original? It's got a star in the dead wax, and it's got the artesian logo, like Exile on Main Street. And the backside is blank. That's the real deal. There's a lot of reproductions of these, but that's the real deal from, I think they sold it to the Beatles fan club in 1970.
Richard says, I'm new to commenting, but I watch all your videos. I'm amazed at your vinyl knowledge.
All right. Thanks a lot, Richard.
And then Kevin Keller is here. He put a little snowman.
Kevin Keller. All right. I got a few things from Kevin today. He's my local Kevin Records. Shout out to Kevin Records.
Paul George said, so glad you have my stuff, Frank. Yes, the real Let It Be dialogue 45 promo.
This is a pretty rare promo here from 1973 by Mike McGear. It's got Leave It with an A for the promo side. And on the B side, it's got an unreleased, wasn't on the McGear album, Sweet Baby. And if you look at the credits, the A side, Leave It's by Paul and Linda McCartney, produced by Paul McCartney. The B sides by McCartney and McGear, produced by Paul McCartney. So the McGear album was pretty much a Wings album with Mike McGear singing lead vocal.
Nenox 111. There's a record store near me that's selling a butcher cover second version West Coast for $400. Is that a bargain?
Second state, West Coast butcher cover number 6. If it's in pretty good shape, that's a bargain, but they're almost impossible to peel. If you had Jim Hansen peel it or something, it would cost you about $700, besides the $400. I charge $400 a piece for peeling the East Coast butcher covers. You send an email to my Yahoo address on my Yahoo, Mr. Stickermania _ at yahoo.com. I was peeling butcher covers, East Coast butcher covers for Rockaway Records. I had all the ones, they bought the whole Gary Hine estate and they had about 20 East Coast, number 3s, number 2, and I peeled all those, and then they wanted me to learn how to peel the West Coast as fast as I could, and I tried several times, and I only one time was able to get a West Coast butcher cover off decent. It's a whole different way of peeling a butcher cover. These 3 French EPs got a lot of attention on my short. They were all in a store import, and they're all factory sealed in 1976, and they all sold for $2.50 a piece. And the buyer kept them factory sealed all these years till I got a hold of them a week ago. But that's an outtake from the trunk slick. The same day they took a picture of the trunk slick. There's no butcher cover underneath this one. You got Paul in the trunk, and here you got Paul and John in the trunk, and the trunk's laying down a different direction. But they all have the same outfits in. That was in Brian Epstein's office in 1966. I think it was April of 1966. A couple months before the butcher cover was released.
KRWD says the problem with peeling the West Coast is what the heck do you practice with? Meaning, what do you learn to use the?
They say rubbing alcohol, gin, like an alcohol you drink. I tried a little bit of that, and they say even saliva. It's a long process. This is another one of those French EPs that are sealed, Ticket to Ride, with the same price tag, and it's kind of nice because it's got the that rare picture of the Beatles in their Eskimo jackets. And the last one is the Help from 1965, but it has a 1964 picture of the Beatles, and I know because I studied when the Beatles played the Indiana State Fair a lot. They performed 2 times, and in the morning they stayed at the Speedway Motel, and they went out and they took them out on the 9-hole golf course. The Beatles didn't know how to play golf, but they messed around on one of the greens. All right, those are those French EPs from the 1970s. This sold earlier today. Talk about audiophile pressings. Never heard Sticky Fingers sound like this before. It's a Doug Sachs cut, different than the United States, from Germany, the mid-1970s. And it was in near mint condition. I just never heard Sticky Fingers with as much dynamics. No muddy at all like the United States. And what an album. The Rolling Stones at their peak. If you watch the video of the Rolling Stones from a few days ago when they performed in Texas, Mick Jagger still has it. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's out there prancing around. His waist looks like it's a 30 inches, and he got that voice still. He must really train hard. Only thing I don't think's for real, I think he's got a hairpiece on, but you know, when we get older, we all lose our hair. I'm sure Mick Jagger's lost his too, but he's got a nice hairpiece on.
KRWD says, Frank, there is a product you should check out. It's called Undo. It has a lighter fluid smell, but it softens the glue so you peel the sticker. When it dries, it clears, and I swear by it.
Mm-hmm. Has he peeled West Coast butcher covers with it?
I don't know.
No. Or has he probably got stickers off of name tags off of the album covers? So this is a definite audiophile pressing. I talked about that Rolling Stones show there a couple days ago. I'm still not convinced that Keith Richards is playing all the lead guitar parts. I know Ronnie Wood's covers for him a lot, but he just looks like he's out there just having a good time now. Not saying there's any AI there, but it just doesn't make sense to me. There was some AI involved in that new new Rolling Stones live at the Racket Club that just came out. Because if you watch the raw video and watch the promo video, they have a whole lot of something world. But anyway, there's a lot of AI used in that, I think. But the Rolling Stones have done that before on their tattoo reissues and stuff. When Mick sings over those old tracks, there's some AI used to make them sound better than they really are.
What would that be? Disco's Platters?
Psycho Platter?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. How you doing, Psycho Platters? I saw you on Rachel's Ghost earlier today, I think. All right, put the sticky fingers away. It's going out in the mail tomorrow. I'll never hear sticky fingers sound that good again. And Daniel Costello, if you watch this, I'll tell you one thing, that Hey Jude import album that went out, right before I packaged it up, I played that Hey Jude UK import album that was for military bases, and they must have asked for the master tapes of all those songs. I've never heard the Hey Jude album sound like that before. This is the USA, but that UK export album was remarkable on Can't Buy Me Love and Ballad of John and Yoko. Those songs have never, Paperback Writer and Rain has to be the best I've ever heard. Paperback Writer and Rain audiophile pressing was on that UK Hey Jude import. I sold it for $170. I'll probably never have that again. I got seller's remorse on that one. Went out yesterday. What an audiophile pressing. You never heard that Hey Jude album sound like that. What's some other things I was talking about? Anthology 1 CD. Somebody brought the second CD of Anthology 1 into the store. I already had it, but they wanted me to listen to it. And it's got outtakes of the Beatles practicing like the first takes of Can't Buy Me Love. And You Can't Do That, and I Love Her, A Hard Day's Night. And then Beatles for Sale outtakes of I'll Be Back, No Reply, and 8 Days a Week. And I was asking Kevin from Kevin Records today, how did they go from those rough tracks in a couple hours to having that hit single that had all the magic? It's a mystery to me. Was it Paul McCartney? Was it John Lennon? Was it George Martin? Was it a combination of all three? Somehow they knew how to take a rough track and make it a #1 song. If you listen to those outtakes of the beginning takes of 8 Days a Week, it's nowhere like the hit single. Same with Can't Buy Me Love. It doesn't have the energy that single, the final single, has. So somebody, I don't know if Paul was part producer of those songs or what, but the magic just happened there at Abbey Road Studios. It took a while, but they weren't satisfied until the magic was there on that recording before they released it.
Elvis Cup guy says, do you ever get any colored vinyl of Satanic Majesty?
There's a white vinyl on it, but I don't have it. I got a UK 1982 3D cover. They had some extra lenticulars left over, and I got one of those coming from the United Kingdom. They say it's a unplayed record, so I'm be real interested to hear Satanic in the full glory, made from the master tapes. Before I get into my notes, I just got this in today. It's introducing the Beatles original version 2 with Please Please Me. It's still in the factory shrink. Pretty nice. Not quite as nice as the other one I have in my bank vault. But the nice thing about this pressing, it's got the oval label And if you notice on the oval label, it's small. They used a 45 label. When they ran out of album labels, they used 45 labels because they were hard pressed for money. Whatever they had in inventory is what they used. So that's a February-March issue of introducing the Beatles when they weren't allowed to put Love Me Do and P.S. I Love You on it anymore. Talked about audiophile pressings. You all know I've talked about the Magical Mystery Tour to death, but every time somebody listens to this, it's like a earth-shattering moment listening to the Beatles. Got a couple other 7200 pressings in today. Got a Help from the late 70s, and I got a Sgt. Pepper. I had the Sgt. Pepper cranked earlier today. A light 1977 pressing from Germany on Apple label. It's not a DMM. It's got a A1 and a B2 matrix. But it's got a little bass added on from Mr. Paul McCartney, and what a way to hear Sgt. Pepper. I know Lennon always said you haven't heard Pepper until you've heard it in mono. There's no way that anybody's ever going to spend, like they do for Nimbus, Supercut, and Audio 5, $7,000 for a Sgt. Pepper mono, where they will pay for it for a stereo. So maybe the stereo mix is what the audiophile. Somebody has a $200,000 system. I think they want to hear it in stereo. The masterpiece, one of the greatest albums of all time. There's my 3D cover from 3D promo piece from 1987 in Canada. So that was, I had that cranked up earlier today when we were packing up things going out, and it really sounded good. The bass was just driving the mix. Paul really knew how to play that bass to right along with the melody of a record, of the sound of the song. And the Help is another Apple pressing from 77. I just got to get another Revolver, because Revolver is the best mix ever. Stereo mix is the 1977 pressing. The Germans sure knew how to press the record, the Beatles albums in the late 70s, using the best equipment in the world, and they got Abbey Road Studios for the copy of the master tapes, and they performed their magic. All right, well, we at 10:30. We ready to open this butcher cover?
Yeah, 10:28.
Here we go. Hope we got some people watching.
That's what he's talking about, because I guess him and
Yeah.
Novus Nick have been talking about. Novus Nick.
I'll have to buy some. It's called Undo. I'll try that out. Try that on. I'm not going to try it on this one. This is factory sealed. This one's staying sealed. I may have this slab by Beckett or something. If you guys know what slab means. Might have my first state butcher cover slab too if I don't sell it for long. But there's somebody who was interested, real seriously interested in it yesterday. All right, we need another box. We got a bunch of styrofoam. Peanuts. Peanut foam peanuts. You talked about that. Let me talk about a few more things. 2014 mono. I got another mono box set. We want to talk about the Beatles and mono. The empty box with the foam insert went out to Rachel's Ghosts yesterday. I think it cost me about $60 to ship it to Canada. I sold the Please Please Me and the Mono Masters, but all these have never been played. With the Beatles, Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Lennon's Way to Hear, Sgt. Pepper. It's supposed to be the best mono pressing ever in the world, according to Mike from the In Groove. This 2014 Sgt. Pepper Mono. Magical Mystery Tour, the White Album. They were all numbered, starting with 9900. And this sold earlier today for 133. The Mono Masters, a 3 LP set of all the tracks that didn't end up on the regular albums. In England, they didn't put the hit singles on the albums like USA, so that's why this Mono Masters exists. And even the book, hardback book, is still factory sealed. That's about the 40th 2014 mono box set I've owned. What a demand. There's nothing, the demand for these is just out of sight. All right, opening time. Box in a box. While we're talking about double boxing, I had 2 items that I sent out in the last few days. They got damaged in the mail in these expensive $3 boxes I buy. So I guess everything over $100 now I'm gonna have to double box. The USPS, I don't know what it is. They bounce all over the United States. It takes a while to get there, and then sometimes they get damaged. I had a Magical Mystery Tour, German. The record was cracked in half today when the buyer got it, and then I sold a sealed American Tour. You saw Ed Rudy American Tour that I got from Perry Cox. And when he received it today, an 8-inch seam split. And I was sending them well protected in boxes like this. So, I don't know, something's not normal on the regular USPS shipping at the moment.
KRWD says the guy that wrapped that album deserves a high five. Super job on it for wrapping that up. And then he says, I think you can buy the boxes from Chad that he uses.
Yeah, that would be the best. Chad, since I got him on the hotline, I need to call him next week. I wonder if he'd answer my call. I know he put a video out today of playing Alice Cooper at a hi-fi show. But never forget the time I was sound asleep and this man on my answer machine's going, Sticker, Mr. Sticker, do you live here? Answer the phone. And I called him back, and it was Chad Casson.
KRWD said he will hook you up, Frank.
Chad Casson will hook me up with the shipping box.
That's what KRWD said, yeah.
Yeah, I bet they're expensive, but it'd be worth it. They're probably about $10 a box. You know how much they are? All right, this is like triple box. Yeah, I've never seen anything boxed up as much care as this one. It's got to be the real deal. All right, bubbles. Here we go. Cardboard flats. I always need them for shipping. Boy, those are thick ones too. Here we go. Unboxing, supposedly of a, would be 58-year-old sealed album. The ultimate holy grail to find. PB Thal had one of these and he sold it to Harry's Music Room.
KRWD says love it. And then Caesar says, hey Frank and family. Is it
Caesar,
Christmas?
how's it going, Caesar? Are you a Greek legend? That's a little joke. Here we go. This is it. Got it wrapped up 3 times. Factory sealed. 4 square corners, a little bump down there. Factory breathe hole. You want to see that? That's real important to see that factory breathe hole with aging yellow foxing. It proves it's original from 1966. And there you go. You got Ringo's V-neck peeking through in his head. His pant legs show up perfect there. See it?
Mm-hmm. There you go, right there. I can see it.
And over here you'll see John Lennon's head on the butcher cover. Right there next to his knee on the trunk slit. And you see how the trunk, it's covered up the record number on the top. They were slapping these things on as fast as they could. A number 6 from Los Angeles, California. Factory sealed, 1966. Second state butcher cover. Wow, wow, wow. Never thought I'd have one of those.
KLWD says, and the heavens open, because you opened them up. You got it open.
Yeah, the heavens open.
And Woofy Baby Frank, did you ever correct that negative feedback?
I tried. The Greek legend hasn't, he's trying. It might be too long to get it corrected now.
Paul George says, wonderful, congratulations.
Thanks, Paul. It's got me breathless. Yeah, let's put that baby away. All right, that got me nervous. All I can say is, wow, put that right by my first date. First date, a sealed second state. Put that over there on the right.
Woofy Baby said, they actually said nice things about the purchase. Talking about your
I know, that's what was weird about the negative feedback. It was just a mistake because they were positive in the comment and they just accidentally somehow hit negative on it. The only negative I've had in the last 2 years. All right, other notes. I showed 2014 mono albums. My late grandmother, she had dementia for the last 5 years, and my uncle said that one of the last things that she ever would react to was Moonlight Bay, the old song by Moonlight Bay. It's just a weird coincidence because the Beatles performed Moonlight Bay on the Morecambe and Wise show, TV show in 1963 in the United Kingdom.
KOWD want to know, are you opening and peeling or leaving sealed on the butcher?
That is a West Coast number 6. It will not be opened. It may get covered. You may get send to Beckett or one of these companies that grade it and slab it in plastic. Because I thought if I did that, it'd be worth twice as much. Can't be too many of those in the world. I am not peeling this. I have peeled them in the shrink before at East Coast, but I definitely, this is just perfect. It's not getting opened up. If it's been factory sealed for 58 years, it's kind of like my Nimbus Supercut Sgt. Pepper I got from Chad Cassim. He had it for 22 years and he was scared to open it up. And when I got it, I was scared to open it up also. Ended up selling them for $7,000.
KOWD says another unicorn for sure.
What is it?
Another unicorn for sure. Talking about how great.
Yeah.
And then Richard said, Frank, did the set of postcards only come with the Stones Exile US first pressing?
Yes, they only came with the Unipack pressing. I've sold the gatefold. I have a sealed gatefold in my bank vault, but I'm going to sell it sealed. I don't know if the postcards are in the first gatefold pressing or not. But those postcards, if you got all 12 of them attached, they're worth almost $70 by themselves because they're hard to find 12 postcards still attached from 1972. What was that? 1968 when I started in the grocery business. I've been in the grocery business 56 years, and it's pretty weird that when I was 14 running the register that Christmas season, we had a little record rack of new albums, the top 5 albums of that Christmas season, and the Beatles' White Album was on that rack in a little grocery store we had with 3 registers that my dad owned. And I asked my dad, boy, that'd be nice if I got that for Christmas. And I did get it for Christmas, a number of White Albums from the United States. And that was the first time I ever really listened to the Beatles in depth, was when I got the White Album. And then in 1972, after I graduated from high school, I lived with 3 of my high school buddy friends, 4 guys living in the same 2-bedroom apartment. I didn't last there very long, but every weekend we'd play this game of the Beatles, Stones, and Led Zeppelin. We'd all take a turn of picking a certain track and seeing if we could outdo what the last person did. And I remember I played Can't You Hear Me Knocking by the Rolling Stones on Sticky Fingers, and that blew everybody's mind if you drinking a little bit and listen to that whole song. All right, I talked about the Rolling Stones. Roy Orbison, I talked about the 1992 benefit concert I went to out in LA at the Universal Amphitheater. The rumors that were going on for the 3 days before the show is that George Harrison was supposed to show up. I don't know if he's going to be part of the Byrds reunion and help Bob Dylan or what, but he didn't show up, but Bob Dylan did. I told you about Abbey Road and the River coming, Led Zeppelin, How the West Was Won. How the West Was Won. In interviews, Led Zeppelin never said too much about the Beatles, but when they performed in concert, this is one of the greatest live recordings. Has all the best of Led Zeppelin live. And on the last, one of their encores, they do part of Some Other Guy, the same song the Beatles did at the Cavern. So you can't tell me they weren't influenced by the Beatles a little bit.
Woofy baby. So what was the best concert you ever saw, Frank?
Outside of Paul McCartney and Wings in Chicago Stadium in 1976, I think that's got to be the best. I saw a lot of shows though in Bogarts that only seats like 1,000 people standing up. I saw some great shows there. Stray Cats, the Ramones, the Replacements, In Excess. I saw some great shows in a small place. I saw Public Image there with Johnny Rotten, and that was an intense show where nobody could move at all. Everybody was just packed in like sardines. And if you move, the only way you can move is if the crowd moved. I was right up front. He did do a couple Sex Pistols songs. He did God Save the Queen and the other big hit. Why I'm not coming up with it. Anarchy in the UK. Talked about shipping. I think that's where my notes on that one. I'll talk about purchase history in a second. Kevin Records gave me some things to put up on my eBay store. I got a original master recordings of John Lennon's great album of Plastic Ono Band. I got original in the shrink of Plastic Ono Band from 1970 or 71. I got a quadraphonic of Imagine SQ quadraphonic system. I'll have to play that to see if it has a different mix. I'm sure it will. And that's what I got from Kevin Records. And he also gave me a Beatles oldies but goodies. Haven't had this in a while. The 1966 pressing of all their great hits. This is a 1970s pressing on the Parlophone, two EMI. And then Andrew from Polygram Auctions, when he says his 10 top audiophile pressings of all time, this is one of them. The Beatles version Tony Sheridan on the Contour label from England. It's all true stereo. Amazing sound. It's even Pickwick, but it's amazing pressing. And Paul McCartney's bass has never been recorded so well as on these early tracks where the Beatles were backing up Tony Sheridan. You gotta listen to this if you want to really hear audiophile pressings. You gotta take time to listen to this. Beatles featuring Tony Sheridan. Audiophile pressing. Somebody got the Please Please Me with the -2 German version. German pressing, That's not it. But anyway, here it is. Showing the wrong Please Please Me. This is the one that has Apple on the cover. Apple on the label. -2, same as the Beatles. And he says that I was dead right, that he's never heard Please Please Me sound so good in stereo with so much energy that rocks out as this Please Please Me pressing from Germany, 1977. Another pressing where the Germans did their magic. All right, purchase history and sold history. What did I show? Talked about Led Zeppelin. I got another Let It Be Naked in today. Rachel Ghost got my last one. 2003. Factory sealed. It sold for $25.98 as an import at Amoeba Records back then. Worth a lot more than $25 now. Another great way to hear Let It Be without all the Phil Spector sound. The wall of sound added on, and the choir in the background, all the singers, female singers. This is Paul McCartney's little project of presenting Let It Be the way he thinks it should have been. In Disney Plus, releasing that Let It Be movie on May 8th. They have the theatrical trailer out now. You can see how good the quality is. Them singing, I think it's mostly them singing Let It Be. Any questions? Sold this earlier, a couple hours ago. Aftermath by the Rolling Stones in the Factory Shrink. This cover, once this shrinks off, that cover will never look that good again. The Rolling Stones are still going at it 60 years after that, more than 60 years after they started. They sounded pretty good on the songs I heard. Give Me Shelter and there's a couple of them on YouTube. They really sound good. Mess It Up sounds pretty good, one of their new songs.
Brad Parnell's here. He says, got my car back. Now I can drive to your store instead of walking.
All right, Brad Parnell. How far do you have to walk?
Brad, my dad used to run to the store every day when he used to work. He'd run there and then run home sometimes.
I have a plan next year. Where I live, they're gonna build a new Kroger and new apartments, and the road I live on is gonna become a nightmare. But I can walk to work if I have to. It's only half a mile that way. A couple other things I got from Paul George today. Got this Corgi. I think it's a 1999 version of the Yellow Submarine. And got this nice box that you put Paul McCartney's CDs inside. It's like a Flowers of Dirt box. So thanks, Paul. That's pretty nice.
Brad says, I'm just across the street in the apartments.
All right. Over there by the church where I vote. Got this Led Zeppelin, I've showed this before, Japanese factory sealed mini CD box set of their whole career. And it's got special SHM CDs. Japan knows how to really make hi-fi CDs, and this is a box set of them.
Brad said, yep, and Paul George said, you're welcome, Frank.
All right, thanks, Paul. All right, let's talk about purchase history to close us out. Sold. Things I sold. The Paul and Ringo sign album. Sorry, James. I think that was your name on Rachel's Ghost. You offered me $2,000 for my signed Abbey Road by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. But I hate to tell you, it sold for $4,777. Went out this week. Sold a Third State Butcher cover. Went out earlier today. Mono East Coast for $1,599. And I told you about the sticky fingers that went out today. Or didn't go out yet, but $299. The ultimate way to hear Sticky Fingers. You want to hear the best Rolling Stones album of all time, right there with Exile, Let It Bleed, and Beggar's Banquet. They were on those 4 albums. They were at the top as far as sound and everything. My Led Zeppelin Turquoise one more time. You want to talk about 3 Holy Grails? They're right there together. I'll put that down there. All right, other sold and then purchase history. Close this out. The Please Please Me from Germany, 1977, went out today, $129. I sell those all the time. And the Beatles sells for a little more just because it has a different cover. The Bangladesh 2 LP set that was a recalled withdrawn from 1982 went out to Dave Frazier. And that's our local guy, but you mailed it today. $444. And I told you about the 2014 monos I sold. And I sold a Sgt. Pepper 1967 Stereo UK first press in very good plus condition today for $122. All right, what's coming in? Frank, what's coming in? Man, got any more questions? You're running out of time.
Brad said it would take me longer to drive to the church to vote than it would to walk.
Huh. Yeah, that's where I got to vote too. They're pretty quick though. You don't have to wait long at that church. Okay, I got a 19. This is my purchase history that I should have by Saturday, I hope. It'll be a barn burner. That's what Rachel Ghost likes to say. We're having a barn burner live stream today. She does have a lot of stuff going on, especially when she has about 7 or 8 people up there all trying to talk at the same time.
Real quick before you do that, Clock Radio says, Frank, do you ever get a U.S. mono copy of Satanic Majesty? And thank you again for the Butcher cover prize.
All right. Clock Radio. Yeah, you got the last Butcher cover in our contest.
But do you ever get the U.S. mono?
U.S. mono, I've had the Satanic, I've had a UK and a USA in the last year that I've sold. They don't come in very often, but that psychedelic album by the Rolling Stones in a true mono mix is audiophile pressing for sure. That's got to be a true mono mix. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a fold down. So I got the 1965, the Beatles blue lunchbox where they put out a girl's brunch bag. So I got the brunch bag and thermos coming in for Saturday. I got another Rolling Stones, the first album from the United States with the bonus photo. I got that coming in, and a big thing I got coming, Misaligned Abbey Road, 1969 UK, very first press of Abbey Road with the misaligned apple on the back. Haven't had one of those in a long time. The price of that just keeps going up and up. Butcher covers, I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 coming in the next 3 days. Ones I'm going to peel. I have 2 stereo number 2s that you saw me peel on my Peeling Butcher Covers Part 1 and Part 2. Thanks for giving me 50 likes on Part 2. Now it's kind of going viral. We have 4,400 views on those 2 videos of me steam peeling a butcher cover. That's the most views I think we've ever had on a long video. So I'm not up there with Mazzy, but I'm doing pretty good. And I also have a East Coast number 3 mono butcher cover that's already partly peeled because it must have been in a basement or something, and it's coming up on the bottom corner. And I'll finish peeling that up. I have a Let It Bleed 1970 UK stereo coming from the Rolling Stones. And no, Daniel, that's true stereo. It's not fold down mono. That's just a joke. Got a White Album, 1968 UK coming. The second time I've ever had them where it has no EMI on one of the record labels. That's a mistake. That's the very first pressing of the stereo White Album in the United Kingdom, top loader. So that'll be pretty amazing. And then the price of Some Girl sealed with the band cover with all the women's faces. I have another one of those coming. And you know I have a 1966 ticket and pictures of the Beatles and Crossley Fields. You must have that in the room. I don't see them here now. Oh, here they are.
I was gonna say, I thought I kept everything in there.
So this is the Beatles when they got rained out in Cincinnati Crossley Field on a Saturday. They performed Sunday at noon, and they did a quick show, and then they flew to St. Louis and did an evening show, and it was raining there too. So what a strange day in Beatles history where they performed in two cities in the same day, and they had rain problems in both cities. So I have a ticket stub that's stapled to the program, 1966 program from St. Louis that evening of the same day coming. And I have another Rolling Stones 1980 France 5 LP called the Glitter Box. And the glitter t-shirt is still sealed inside the box. I've had that before, sold that right away. Got another Magical Mystery Tour 1977 Horzu Germany pressing coming. And I have a 1963 UK Beatles program. It's hard to get the UK programs, and it shows the Beatles on their first tour when Ringo Starr had just joined the group. And I also have a Rubber Soul from the late 60s USA with the double banner top coming. It's real hard to find the Rubber Soul that has a stereo, full dimensional stereo twice on the top of the label. All right, that's my purchase history and my sold. I think that's about it. If we don't have
Clock
any more
Radio
questions.
says, do you have any idea how much you're going to list the sealed second state for?
Here's a hint. What's that mean? Who's the first person to answer that one? That's all I can say. I talked about the big things. I talked about the wings last time. Had somebody interested in my air flight carrying case that girls took to like slumber parties in 1964. I think somebody's going to buy that in the next week. I got both of my red and blue in the slipcase. This got the red and blue vinyl. That's the outer print, and if you can believe this, the CD of the in the slipcase is out of print also. I think I covered all the stuff I wanted to talk about.
KRWD said, my guess 12,000.
10,000, yeah.
Well, he said 12. He was just saying that you were joking that you would go higher than what you were showing.
No, 10 grand is what you're going for. Got any takers? All right, Beatles for Sale. We'll close it out on Beatles for Sale, my favorite album. If you listen on Anthology 1 to the tracks of I'll Be Back, No Reply, and 8 Days a Week, you think, wow, they aren't that good on Anthology 1. But by the time they added their magic, this is the Australian Audiophile pressing, the best pressing in the world of Beatles for Sale. You deserve a treat if you want to listen to the Beatles. It's all about the music. And this is a heck of an album. Beatles for Sale. They were at their creative peak. All right. Thanks a lot for checking in. And Saturday will be a barn burner. We got a lot of stuff coming. So check us out Saturday night. Same bat channel, same bat time. Thanks a lot. From Louisville, Kentucky. And Saturday's Derby Day. So watch the the best 2 minutes of horse racing ever in the world is going to happen here about 10 miles from me. Thanks a lot.